By late June of 1863, the warnings of approaching Confederate forces were nothing new for the 2,400 residents of Gettysburg. The town, just 10 miles from the Mason-Dixon line, kidnappings of freed people and rumors of imminent clash between the two armies had plagued the borough and the surrounding community. Nevertheless, none of these events could prepare Gettysburg townspeople for the ferocious 3-day fight between 165,000 soldiers in early July of that year that would transform the lives and lands of Gettysburg civilians forever. One of those civilians was James A. Warfield. The Warfields were an African-American family who evacuated before the Battle of Gettysburg. When they returned to their farm after the battle, they confronted the graves of Confederate and Union soldiers in their yard, the destruction of their home, the loss of their crops and animals, and the Warfields' merciful end of the battle on July 3rd did not bring the conclusion of their troubles, but rather ushered in a new set of challenges in recovering what they had lost. They had moved to Gettysburg between October in 1861 and October in 1862. The house had been built in 1845, and by the time of the battle, the family had constructed a blacksmith shop, a barn, and an orchard on their 13 acres, which they also grew wheat and corn. The head of the house, James Warfield, was born in Maryland around 1820 and married a woman named Elijah. According to the 1860 census, it appears that he and Elijah had 6 children when they lived in Uniontown, Maryland, but by 1863, a few of them had moved away. Gettysburg was a small town in 1863 with more than 2,000 residents, many who worked like farmers, like the Warfields, in the middle and lower class occupations. However, it was unusual that an African-American man such as James, that was a self-sufficient farmer. Many black men worked without a named skill and labored for others as a means to credit or pay in Gettysburg. James felt proud of his success as a farmer and blacksmith and the house that he procured, even without the skills of reading and writing. A white family, the Sherfys, lived close to the Warfields. The Sherfys were pacifists, belonged to the Church of the Brethren, and the patriarch Joseph Sherfy served as the reverend of the church. The two families formed a working relationship with one another, as Raphael Sherfy later became the executor of James Warfield's will and oversaw the sale of the Warfields' house after James' death. During the Battle of Gettysburg, the Confederate soldiers used this house for a shelter. The farm came under fire on the second day of the battle. At one point, Alabama troops clashed with the 1st United States sharpshooters in the 3rd Maine around the Pitzer's Woods area near the Warfield farm, a fight which ended in the retreat of U.S. skirmishers. After battle, James returned. The house was damaged, the furniture ruined, the fences were down, bushels of his crops were destroyed, and pigs and cattle were missing. James died about 12 years after the battle in 1875, and the house was sold to Frank Eckenrode. Into the early 20th century, the house had additions put on it, and recently the National Park Service has worked for the past couple years to restore the Warfield house to what it looked like in 1863. This has been the James A. Warfield House here on Gettysburg Historic Walking Tours. And I am your historian, Frank Patrick Marone, Jr.